For decades, people believed it could predict your entire future. It's called the marshmallow test.
So, put yourself in this situation. It's a simple choice, but it's a big one. You can have one treat right now, or if you can just wait a few minutes, you can have two. What would you do?
Now, here's the fascinating part. This exact dilemma, it was given to a bunch of 4-year-olds. Yeah, little kids. And that one simple choice they made would end up echoing for the rest of their lives.
I know it sounds crazy, but believe it or not, how that kid dealt with that single moment of temptation, well, it seemed to predict their whole life path for the next 40 years.
Okay, get this. The kids who managed to wait for that second marshmallow, they grew up to have way higher SAT scores, they were healthier, they even had bigger bank accounts as adults. I mean, the connection was just incredible.
So what is this thing? Well, it has a name, delayed gratification. It's basically the secret superpower of resisting something good now for something even better later. And honestly, it's pretty much a building block for any kind of long-term success.
So, you're probably wondering, how did this whole thing actually work? And what did it tell us about our brains? All right, let's dive into the science of waiting and take a look inside the original experiment.
Let's go back in time. We're at Stanford University. It's the late 1960s. A psychologist, Dr. Walter Mischel, sets up this little room. He brings in these kids one by one and puts that famous choice right in front of them.
But here's what everyone gets wrong about this. It wasn't really about willpower. It wasn't about the kids just gritting their teeth and toughing it out. Nope. The secret was strategy.
The successful kids, the ones who waited, they did something really clever. They changed the game in their own heads. You know, some of them imagined the marshmallow was just a puffy cloud. Others pretended it was only a picture. They'd sing songs, kick the table, basically anything to distract themselves. It's a trick called cool thinking, and it's all about turning down the heat on that temptation.
You can almost picture it as a battle happening inside their brains. You've got the planner, that's your prefrontal cortex, the part that thinks about the future. And then you have the instant pleasure part. That's the amygdala, which just wants what it wants right now. The kids who waited, they just found a way to let the planner win.
And the long-term payoff was just staggering. Years later, Michelle went and found these kids again. And the high waiters, the ones who held out for that second marshmallow, they absolutely crushed the low waiters on things like the SATs. The data was just so clear you couldn't argue with it.
But wait a second. Is that really the whole story? Is success just about being born with more self-control than someone else? Well, it turns out there was a huge piece of this puzzle that everyone was missing.
And that brings us to what I like to call the marshmallow twist. A new study came along that completely flipped our understanding of this whole thing on its head. So, some researchers over at the University of Rochester decided, hey, let's run this experiment again. But they added one tiny, crucial change before the marshmallow test even started.
Here's what they did. They split the kids into two groups. For one group, the adult in the room made a simple promise, like, I'll be right back with some cool new crowns. And then they actually did it. For the other group, the adult made the same promise and then broke it. So you have one group in a reliable world and the other in an unreliable world.
And the results? A total game changer. The kids from that unreliable group, they almost never waited for the second marshmallow. And think about it. Why would they? If you can't trust the person promising you something more later, it's not a lack of willpower to eat the marshmallow now. It's the only smart move.
And this revealed something huge. The ability to delay gratification, it's not just some trait you're born with. It's a skill that's deeply, deeply shaped by your environment. It's built on a foundation of trust and security.
Okay, so the best news out of all of this is that this is a skill. It's not something that's just fixed. So let's talk about how you can actually train your own inner waiter no matter what.
Okay, so you can totally build this muscle with 3 simple strategies. First up, start small, like really small. Try putting your phone away for just 15 minutes before you check it. Build that little win. Second, use the if-then rule. This is like making a clear contract with yourself. If I finish this boring task, then I get to watch my favorite show. And third, always keep your eyes on the prize. Really visualize that bigger, better 2 marshmallow reward you're working towards.
When you boil it all down, the marshmallow test teaches us something really profound. Success isn't always about being the smartest person in the room. A lot of the time, it's about being the one who has the patience and the right strategy to wait for that second marshmallow.
So that leaves us with one last question.
And this one's for you. When you really think about it, in your own life, your own habits, are you a 1 marshmallow person or a 2 marshmallow person?